Rick Zamperin here to bring you another exciting and informative edition of the Fifth Quarter Show Legends. Hi, it's great to see you all again, and I hope you're having a great week. Newcomers, this series is all about sharing the stories of the best players, coaches, and managers in Tiger Cats history. So if Ticats football is your jam, please consider subscribing. For all the dedicated viewers and subscribers, thanks again for coming back. The last three legends who were featured, Tommy Grant, Jake Goddard, Rob Hitchcock, generated some great comments from many viewers. So please keep sharing your memories. Today, in episode 21 of the Fifth Quarter Show Legends, we're going to learn about the life and times of Vince Scott. Vincent Joseph Scott was one of many players who came to Hamilton from the United States and after his playing days stayed in Steeltown. Scott was born on July 10th, 1925, in Leroy, New York, and he had polio as a child that caused his left leg to shrink slightly. But he didn't let that slow him down. Scott attended Leroy High School and went on to the University of Notre Dame to play football. At 5'8", 215 pounds, Scott played as a lineman and helped the Fighting Irish win the national championship in 1946. In 1947, the 22-year-old Scott signed with the Buffalo Bills of the All-America Football Conference, where he suited up for 28 games over 2 seasons, but did not earn a start. Following the 1948 AAF season, Scott ventured north to Canada, where he landed a spot on the Hamilton Wildcats in time for the 1949 Interprovincial Rugby Football Union campaign. His rookie year was a disaster for the Wildcats, who lost all 12 of their games and were outscored 284 to 147. But Scott had a great year. In fact, he was named an East All-Star. The Wildcats and Hamilton Tigers of the Ontario Rugby Football Union were both struggling financially and agreed to merge for the 1950 IRFU campaign, and thus the Tiger Cats were born. Scott wasn't the only Wildcats player to make the new Ticats squad. Teammate and guard Ed Bevan joined him, as did halfback Jimmy Loreno, as Hamilton's new club went 7-5 to finish in first place in their inaugural season before losing to Toronto in the IRFU semifinals. Scott suffered an injury in 1951 and ended up playing in only one game, but he came back in 1952 and helped the Ticats regain top spot with a record of 9-2-1. But the Argos got in the way again. They got the better of Hamilton in the IRFU finals, 2-1. Scott earned the nickname Boomer for packing a punch on the field, and the Cats punched their way to their first Grey Cup championship in 1953 with a 12-6 win over Winnipeg. Butch Songen played effectively at quarterback that year. Lou Cussero led the team with 8 total touchdowns, and Bertie Custis scored 3 rushing and 2 receiving TDs. The Ticats finished in second place in each of the next 3 years and lost in the IRFU playoffs each time. But 1955 was a highlight campaign for Scott, who was the runner-up for the league's Most Outstanding Lineman Award. Star quarterback Bernie Filoni joined the Cats from Edmonton in 1957, defensive lineman John Barrow's rookie year, but it was Hamilton's ground game that proved unstoppable. Running back Jerry McDougall rushed for 1,053 yards and 8 touchdowns, while Cookie Gilchrist added 958 rushing yards and 7 scores, as Hamilton went 10-4 in the regular season and blasted the Blue Bombers 32-7 in the Grey Cup. Scott became a Canadian citizen in the mid-1950s and had also become a key piece in the trenches for the Ticats, along with Bevan, Barrow, Angelo Mosca, and Pete Newman. From 1957 until Scott retired in 1962, Hamilton played in 5 Grey Cup finals, but won only once and lost to Winnipeg in 5 others. Scott earned 10 East All-Star awards during his 13-year career in the 3-down game and was selected to Hamilton's fabulous 50s team and the Eastern Team of the Century. After his retirement from football following the 1962 season, Scott began working at Stelco and later got into real estate. He even hosted his own talk show in the 1970s and 80s. In 1982, Vince Scott was enshrined into the Canadian Football Hall of Fame. That same year, Scott was elected to Hamilton Council as an alderman in Ward 4, and he was in the ear of Tiger Cats owner Harold Ballard, who was constantly quarreling with the city and threatening to move or mothball the franchise. After losing his re-election bid in 1985, Scott suffered a stroke in 1986 and never fully recovered. On July 13, 1992, 3 days after celebrating his 67th birthday, Scott passed away following a long illness. Vince Boomer Scott, who was inducted onto the Ticats Wall of Honor in 2009, is a true legend. Thanks for turning back the clock with me today on the Fifth Quarter Show Legends. If you like this episode, click the thumbs up icon. Please leave a comment below as well. A new legend is going to be revealed on this channel next Thursday. In fact, every Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time during the CFL offseason. And the next episode of Seasons will drop, as it always does, on Tuesday. Until then, Oski Wee Wee.